Hello and welcome back to the channel. I wanted to chat with you today about 10 books that I have on my reading radar for spring here. Some of them are books that I picked up recently and are new to me in general. Others I've had on my shelf and my TBR for several years now. If you're new here, hi, my name is Lillian. I love having in-depth discussions about books and the creative process. And if you enjoyed today's video and would like to see more from me, I would love to have you subscribe. And with that, let's get on into the books, shall we? It is time, my friends. It is time for me to finally read a Ferrante novel. So I'm starting with her classic Neapolitan quartet. The first book in the series is My Brilliant Friend. Thankfully, I don't think that I've been exposed to too many spoilers for this series. Fingers crossed. Other than that, people tend to adore certain characters and despise others. Thankfully, I'm not good with names and can't remember which is which. If you happen to be unfamiliar, we are reportedly following the evolution of a friendship between two young girls, Elena and Lila, as they go from childhood into adulthood over the course of the series. The story takes place in post-war Naples and focuses on the decisions that both of them make or don't make and how that has lasting consequences that have ripple effects throughout their lives. Next up is a book that I'm eyeing to feature in an upcoming reading vlog if I can, and that is My Garden book by Jamaica Kincaid. I've been intrigued to check out Kincaid's writing, and so when I saw that she had a book about her garden, I knew it was the one that I wanted to start with. I'm currently in the process of getting my own garden ready for spring and summer plantings here, so this felt like an apt choice to pick up in the coming weeks here. In this, Kincaid is apparently ruminating on her own personal garden in Vermont, along with famous ones such as Monet's gardens, as well as the garden that she grew up with in her native Antigua. Curious and intrigued by this one, for sure. This, my friends, is The Accusation, Forbidden Stories from Inside North Korea by Bandi. This is written by an author that is still living in North Korea and has had this manuscript as well as a poetry collection smuggled out and published in the West. In this collection, we reportedly meet characters from various different backgrounds, all still living under the North Korean regime. Quote, "The Accusation is a vivid depiction of life in a closed-off one-party state and also a hopeful testament to the humanity and rich internal life that persists even in such inhumane conditions." This is a book that just happened to jump into my bookshop.org cart when I was placing my last order. This is Dancing with the Gods, Reflections on Life and Art by Kent Nerburn. The description of this book reminds me a lot of Letters to a Young Poet by Rilke, which is also another book that I picked up recently. The author of this book, Kent Nerburn, received a letter from a woman who was questioning her calling to devote her life to going into the arts, and in return he decided to write a letter of welcome to this woman, Jennifer, and to any artists out there who are at the beginning of their journey, and that letter turned into this book. This sounds like it's going to be a really good creative pep talk, a hug in book form, and I'm really looking forward to it, which I feel like I'm saying about all of these books, but truly I am really looking forward to all of them. This is a book I picked up about 2 years ago when it first came out. This is Lucky Breaks by Yevgenia Belorusets. Apologies for any mispronunciation of that name. It's a very slim short story collection. Ukrainian women still living in the Donbas coal region of Ukraine under the shadow of war and in the presence of war that's been raged there since about 2014. And I feel like in order to do this book any kind of justice, I need to read you a little excerpt of the preface of this book, which is what really ultimately made me pick it up. "You are reading a collection of tales that aspire to a certain quality of photography, the quality of escaping the author's final control over the materiality of past events, encounters, conversations, histories. The storylines of Lucky Breaks, 2 of which are photographic, do not represent the pivotal moments in the country's present history, but one might think from a cursory glance only what occurs on the sidelines. More precisely, they focus on the deep penetration of traumatic historical events into the fantasies and experiences of everyday life." And I feel like I could keep reading the rest of this introduction to you, but that was a little snapshot, and it was definitely something that grabbed my attention, and I definitely plan on picking up soon here. Mary Oliver books always feel like a cathartic hug to me. She's my favorite poet, and so I am, again, very excited to pick up this essay collection by her. This is Upstream. The whole of her work very much features nature as solace, nature as meditation on the complexities of our world and of our own human nature. The weather is starting to warm up here more where I live, and as a result I'm spending more time outside, and I feel like this would just be a really good book companion to have with me while I'm sitting outside enjoying the sound of birdsong and the general sights, sounds, and smells of the world coming back to life after winter. I won't stay too long on this one. This would be a reread for me. This was one of my favorite books of 2023. This is Lavinia by Ursula K. Le Guin. If you haven't heard me talk about this before, this is Le Guin's gorgeous reimagining of the life of Lavinia, who is the wife of Aeneas from the epic poem The Aeneid. I listened to this on audiobook the first time around last year and loved it so much that I knew I wanted my own copy to reread at some point and annotate, and I've just really had a hankering for this book recently, so hence why it's been added to this pile. This gorgeous book is one that I've had on my shelf for several years now. This is Beauty is a Wound by Kurniawan. This book is on the larger side of what I've been tending to pick up recently. It also sounds like from the description that there is a lot that I would get to sink my teeth into with this one, as well as being a bit of a longer read. The description on the back of this book reminds me a little bit in some ways of one of my favorite books, The House of Spirits by Isabel Allende. It says that it's an epic family tale of a prostitute and her 4 daughters, and their story is apparently a reflection on and a critique of the author's own native country of Indonesia. The struggle for independence amidst the ongoing presence and aftershocks of colonialism. There are reportedly magical realism elements to the story, as well as aspects of local folk tales. I definitely have a soft spot for family sagas with magical realism elements, so definitely intrigued to give this one a go. I've been eyeing this slim volume on my shelf ever since I picked it up a few weeks ago here, and that is Inseparable by Simone de Beauvoir. This is a posthumously published novel by Beauvoir that was reportedly too intimate to publish during her lifetime. It depicts a loosely fictional representation of the friendship between a young Simone de Beauvoir and her childhood friend, Zaza. The way that I've heard a few folks talk about this makes it sound like it would be a good companion to read alongside My Brilliant Friend, both of them supposedly having the parallel of following the friendships of 2 young girls, how their decisions to do or not to do certain things in their life have larger implications for them and the people around them, the opportunities that they did and did not have, and the profound effect that that could not only have on the individual, but the relationship between the 2 people. Now, that's just based off of what I've heard about these 2 books. I'll be interested to see once I actually get to them if there are any actual parallels. This is another recent purchase that I talked about recently that I believe I first heard about on Kat's channel of Kat's Field Notes. The description says that we're following a main character as she is just graduating college into the maw of a deep American economic recession, trying to find her feet, navigate adulthood, dating women for the first time, contending with her Indian parents' expectations of her, struggling with emotional intimacy, finding care and support in community, and trying to find ways to foster that. Overall, it just sounds like a very interesting read to me, and it's definitely remained at the front of my mind since picking it up. Okay, so those were the 10 books that I currently have on my reading radar for spring. Let me know in the comments what you're planning to read as the weather warms up here in the northern hemisphere or as it cools down for folks in the southern hemisphere. If you enjoyed today's video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. It definitely helps my channel grow. I really appreciate it, and I hope you all are doing well, and I'm excited to see you in my next video. Bye!